Hello, esteemed gentlemen. The strongest statement you can make is often the one you never say. Think about that for a second. Most people spend their lives trying to prove a point. They defend themselves, argue online with complete strangers, explain every decision they make, and somehow believe the last word means they won. Spoiler alert, it usually doesn't. But then there's the Sigma male. He doesn't announce that he doesn't care. He doesn't post cryptic quotes. He doesn't slam doors, block everyone, or deliver Oscar-worthy farewell speeches. In fact, if you blink, you might completely miss the exact moment he checks out, because it happens long before anyone else notices. Here's something fascinating. Psychologists have long observed that one of the greatest forms of personal power is selective attention. The ability to decide what deserves your mental energy and what doesn't. People who master this skill are far less controlled by drama, criticism, or the opinions of others. In other words, the person who controls their attention often controls their life. And that's exactly where most people misunderstand Sigma males. When they couldn't care less, it isn't because they're cold, it isn't because they're trying to look mysterious, and it certainly isn't because they're secretly hoping someone chases after them. It's because they've learned a lesson that takes many people a lifetime to understand. Not every battle deserves a soldier. The funny part? Nothing frustrates attention seekers more than someone who refuses to play along. It's like trying to start an argument with a cat. The cat just stares at you, yawns, and somehow you're the one questioning your life choices. In today's video, we're uncovering 12 extraordinary ways Sigma males show they couldn't care less, not through loud rebellion or dramatic exits, but through quiet behaviors that reveal a level of self-control most people never develop. Some of these signs are subtle, others are almost invisible. But once you recognize them, you'll never look at quiet confidence the same way again. Number 1. They stop correcting false stories about themselves. One of the clearest signs that a Sigma male truly couldn't care less is when he stops chasing the truth in other people's minds. This doesn't mean he enjoys being misunderstood. It means he has learned that not every misunderstanding deserves a correction. Most people panic the moment they hear someone is spreading a false story about them. Their first instinct is to explain, defend themselves, or gather evidence to prove everyone wrong. A Sigma male sees something different. He understands that people who genuinely want the truth will eventually seek it, while those who enjoy gossip have already made up their minds before hearing his side. That's why he refuses to waste his energy trying to convince a jury that was never interested in being fair. This kind of silence isn't weakness. In fact, it takes far more self-control to stay quiet than to react. He knows that constantly defending yourself can accidentally give lies more attention than they deserve. Every explanation invites another question. Every defense creates another debate. Before long, you're trapped in a conversation that never should have started. Instead, he lets his actions do the talking. Time has a funny way of exposing people who lie and rewarding people who stay consistent. He would rather spend months building a solid reputation than spend hours arguing with people committed to believing the worst. What's even more interesting is that this often frustrates the people spreading the rumors. Many expect anger, panic, or desperate explanations. When none of that comes, they lose the reaction they were hoping for. Without an audience, gossip begins to lose its power. A Sigma male also understands that every person carries a different version of you in their mind. Some admire you, some misunderstand you, some dislike you for reasons that have nothing to do with reality. Trying to manage every opinion is like trying to stop the wind with your hands. Number 2, they leave opportunities untouched, just to protect their peace. Most people are taught to believe that every opportunity is a blessing. More money, a bigger title, a powerful connection, or an exclusive invitation all sound like things no sensible person would turn down. A Sigma male doesn't see it that way. He knows that not everything that looks valuable is actually worth having. He has learned that some opportunities come with hidden costs. A higher-paying job might demand every waking hour. A business partnership might require dealing with dishonest people. A new social circle might expect constant competition, gossip, or fake loyalty. While others only see the reward, he quietly notices the price attached to it. That's why he can walk away without regret. People often mistake this for laziness or a lack of ambition. They wonder why someone would refuse something they have worked so hard to get. What they don't understand is that a Sigma male isn't impressed by what an opportunity can give him. He's more interested in what it might take away from him. If it steals his peace of mind, his freedom, or his self-respect, it becomes too expensive. This is one of the strongest signs that he truly couldn't care less about impressing other people. He doesn't accept opportunities just because they look good on paper or make him appear successful. He isn't chasing applause. He's protecting the life he has carefully built. The surprising part is that saying no often requires more confidence than saying yes. Anyone can follow the crowd toward what everyone else wants. It takes real discipline to step aside when something doesn't align with your values, even if everyone calls you foolish for doing it. Number 3. They become emotionally invisible before they become physically absent. One of the most overlooked signs that a Sigma male couldn't care less is that he doesn't leave all at once. He leaves in stages. The first stage is invisible because it doesn't involve packing bags, blocking numbers, or making dramatic announcements. It happens quietly inside his mind. When he realizes that a relationship, friendship, or environment has become one-sided, he doesn't immediately walk away. He pays attention. He notices the repeated disappointments, the broken promises, the lack of respect, and the endless cycle that never seems to change. While everyone else thinks everything is normal, he's already deciding whether the connection still deserves a place in his life. The biggest mistake people make is assuming that silence means everything is fine. With a Sigma male, silence often means he's observing, not ignoring. He's measuring actions instead of listening to excuses. Every repeated behavior tells him more than any apology ever could. As time passes, he slowly stops investing emotionally. He no longer expects people to change. He stops waiting for appreciation that never comes. Conversations become shorter. Expectations disappear. Disappointments lose their sting because he has already accepted the truth of the situation. This is why his final departure often shocks people. They think he left overnight, but in reality, the emotional goodbye happened long before the physical one. By the time he actually walks away, he isn't making an emotional decision anymore. He's simply acting on one he made weeks or even months earlier. What makes this so powerful is that there is no need for revenge, arguments, or emotional speeches. He doesn't leave to punish anyone. He leaves because staying no longer makes sense. To many people, this feels cold. To him, it's clarity. He understands that constantly giving pieces of yourself to people who don't value them only leads to exhaustion. Instead of waiting until resentment takes over, he quietly removes his emotional investment. When a Sigma male becomes emotionally invisible, it's often the final chapter of a story that ended long before anyone realized the book was already closing. Number 4. They watch people. Repeat the same mistake without interrupting. One of the hardest lessons a Sigma male learns is that not everyone wants to be helped. Some people don't want solutions. They want sympathy. Others don't want advice. They want someone to blame when things go wrong. Once he understands this difference, something changes. He stops trying to rescue people who are committed to repeating the same mistakes. At first, he does what most people would do. He offers honest advice. He points out warning signs. He shares lessons from his own experience. He genuinely hopes the other person will avoid unnecessary pain. But when the same problems keep showing up, the same excuses keep being made, and the same bad choices keep being repeated, he realizes his words are no longer being heard. That's when he becomes quiet. Not because he doesn't care, but because he respects reality. He understands that wisdom cannot be forced on someone who isn't ready to receive it. Every person has to reach certain conclusions on their own, and no amount of convincing can replace personal experience. Many people mistake his silence for indifference. They assume he has become cold or uncaring. The truth is almost the opposite. He has simply accepted that people grow when they choose to, not when someone else demands it. There's another reason he steps back. Constantly trying to save people can become exhausting. It drains your time, your patience, and your emotional energy. Worse still, if someone ignores your advice and things fall apart, they sometimes blame you anyway for not doing enough. A Sigma male refuses to carry responsibility for choices that were never his to make. Instead of interrupting every mistake, he lets life become the teacher. Life has a way of delivering lessons that no speech ever could. Failure, disappointment, and consequences often speak louder than even the best advice. This doesn't mean he stops caring about people. It means he stops confusing caring with controlling. He understands that everyone is responsible for the direction of their own life. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is step aside, stay silent, and allow reality to teach the lesson that your words never could. Number 5. They stop trying to be understood. One of the quietest signs that a Sigma male truly couldn't care less is that he gives up the exhausting mission of making everyone understand him. He reaches a point where he realizes that no explanation, no matter how honest or detailed, can change a mind that has already chosen its conclusion. Early in life, he may have spent hours explaining his decisions, defending his actions, or trying to clear up misunderstandings. He believed that if people simply knew the full story, everything would make sense. But experience taught him something different. Many people don't misunderstand because the explanation is weak. They misunderstand because it fits the version of reality they prefer. That realization changes everything. Instead of wasting energy proving who he is, he lets people believe whatever they want. Not because their opinions are correct, but because their opinions no longer control his peace of mind. He knows that some people will admire him, some will doubt him, and some will criticize him no matter what he says. Chasing everyone's approval becomes a race with no finish line. This doesn't mean he becomes secretive or dishonest. It simply means he becomes selective. If someone genuinely wants to understand him, he'll have an honest conversation. But if someone is only looking for an argument, a confession, or something they can twist against him, he refuses to play along. Ironically, the less he tries to explain himself, the more confident he appears. People expect endless justifications from those who are uncertain. They don't expect calm silence from someone who is completely comfortable with his choices. A Sigma male understands that actions outlast explanations. Words can be questioned, debated, or ignored, but a consistent life speaks for itself. Over time, people either recognize his character or they don't. Either way, he sleeps well. Number 6. They forget to be offended. One of the strongest signs that a Sigma male couldn't care less is that he gradually stops treating every insult like an emergency. While many people react the moment someone says something disrespectful, he has trained himself to ask a different question. Does this really deserve my energy? Most of the time, the answer is no. This doesn't mean he has no feelings. It doesn't mean hurtful words never reach him. It means he has learned that being offended is often a choice that gives other people more control than they deserve. The moment someone can decide your mood with a few careless words, they've been handed power over your peace. A Sigma male refuses to make that trade. He also understands something many people overlook. Insults often reveal more about the person speaking than the person receiving them. Angry people look for targets. Insecure people look for weaknesses. Jealous people look for reasons to tear others down. Knowing this makes it easier for him to separate someone else's frustration from his own identity. That's why his reaction is usually unexpected. Instead of arguing, defending himself, or trying to deliver a sharper comeback, he simply moves on. Not because he has no answer, but because he sees no value in proving himself to someone who has already chosen disrespect. Ironically, this calm response is what unsettles people the most. Many insults are designed to trigger an emotional reaction. When that reaction never comes, the person throwing the insult is left with nothing to feed on. The conversation dies because the fuel is gone. This doesn't mean he accepts abuse or allows people to cross every boundary. If someone repeatedly shows disrespect, he doesn't stay and tolerate it. He simply removes their access to him. There's a big difference between refusing to be offended and refusing to be treated well. Number 7. They let awkward silence punish manipulators. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. The moment a conversation goes quiet, they rush to fill the gap. They explain themselves, apologize for things they didn't do, or keep talking just to ease the tension. A Sigma male understands that this habit often gives manipulators exactly what they want. People who manipulate others rarely rely on facts alone. They rely on pressure. They ask loaded questions, make unfair accusations, or create uncomfortable moments, hoping the other person will panic and reveal more than they intended. They know that silence makes most people nervous, and nervous people often make mistakes. A Sigma male doesn't fall into that trap. When someone tries to corner him emotionally, he doesn't rush to defend himself. He doesn't speak just because the room has become quiet. Instead, he allows the silence to remain. It isn't meant to embarrass anyone. It's simply his way of refusing to be pushed into a conversation on someone else's terms. That quiet moment changes everything. Without constant explanations to work with, the manipulator has nowhere to go. They may repeat the question, become impatient, or even expose their real intentions through frustration. The longer they fail to get the reaction they expected, the more obvious their tactics become. Silence also gives a Sigma male something valuable that many people overlook: time. Time to think before speaking. Time to separate emotion from logic. Time to choose words that solve problems instead of creating new ones. While others react in seconds and regret it later, he understands that not every question deserves an immediate answer. This doesn't mean he uses silence as a weapon against everyone. He isn't trying to intimidate people or play mind games. His silence has a purpose. It protects his peace, keeps him from speaking emotionally, and prevents others from controlling the direction of the conversation. The irony is that people often reveal far more when they're trying to escape silence than when they're answering questions. A Sigma male knows this, so he doesn't fear those quiet moments. He lets them do what arguments often cannot. They expose motives, uncover impatience, and remind everyone in the room that the person who stays calm usually has the strongest position. Number 8. They quietly remove their talent from the room. One of the clearest ways a Sigma male shows he couldn't care less is by quietly withdrawing the value he has been giving. He doesn't make threats, demand appreciation, or announce that people will regret taking him for granted. He simply stops offering what others have become used to receiving. This is a move most people don't notice at first. For a long time he may have been the one solving problems, sharing ideas, staying late to help, keeping the peace, or carrying responsibilities that didn't even belong to him. Because he did it so consistently, people started treating his effort like it was automatic. What was once appreciated slowly became expected. A Sigma male notices that shift. The moment he realizes his value is being treated like an obligation instead of a gift, he changes course. He stops volunteering. He stops fixing problems that others created. He no longer rushes to save situations that would collapse without him. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. What's fascinating is that his absence often speaks louder than his presence ever did. At first, nobody notices. Everything seems normal. Then deadlines start slipping. Small problems become bigger ones. Decisions take longer. The calm voice that used to bring order is missing, and people begin asking questions they never thought to ask before. Why isn't he involved anymore? By then, the answer is already clear. A Sigma male understands that real value doesn't need advertising. If people only recognize your worth after you've stopped giving, then they were never paying attention in the first place. He also refuses to chase appreciation. Gratitude that has to be demanded isn't genuine. Respect that only appears after complaints isn't real respect. Instead of arguing about how much he contributes, he simply lets reality reveal it. This is one of the strongest forms of indifference because it isn't loud or emotional. There are no dramatic exits, no speeches, and no attempts to make anyone feel guilty. He simply redirects his time, energy, and ability toward people and places that value them. Number 9. They stop competing in games. Nobody asked them to play. One of the biggest signs that a Sigma male couldn't care less is that he refuses to compete in battles that exist only in other people's minds. While many are busy comparing salaries, relationships, cars, followers, or social status, he quietly steps away from the contest altogether. He understands something that many people never realize. Not every competition is real. Some are invented by insecurity. People create invisible scoreboards and spend years trying to outrun friends, impress strangers, or prove they're more successful than someone else. The strange part is that nobody officially started the race, yet everyone seems exhausted trying to win it. A Sigma male sees this and simply opts out. He doesn't feel the need to buy something because someone else has it. He doesn't rush to announce every achievement just to collect admiration. He isn't interested in proving that his life is better than anyone else's because he isn't measuring his life against theirs in the first place. This often confuses people. Some mistake his lack of competition for a lack of ambition. They assume he has settled for less because he isn't constantly trying to outshine everyone around him. In reality, he's still ambitious. The difference is that his competition is internal, not external. He measures today's version of himself against yesterday's, not against the person sitting across the room. That mindset gives him something incredibly rare: freedom. Freedom from jealousy, freedom from envy, freedom from the endless pressure to keep up with people whose approval was never going to bring lasting happiness anyway. Ironically, the person who refuses to compete often ends up making the most progress. While others waste energy watching everyone else's lane, a Sigma male keeps his eyes on his own path. His focus isn't divided by comparison, and that allows him to improve without distraction. He knows that many so-called victories come with hidden costs. Winning an argument can cost a friendship. Winning a popularity contest can cost your authenticity. Winning a race you never wanted to join can cost years of your life. Number 10. They respond to pressure. By slowing down, most people become faster when pressure arrives. Their words speed up, their decisions become rushed, and their emotions start driving the conversation. A Sigma male often does the opposite. When someone tries to corner him, rush him, or force an immediate answer, He slows down. That is one of the clearest signs that he truly couldn't care less about being controlled. He has learned that urgency is sometimes real, but very often it is manufactured. People create pressure to get quick agreements, emotional reactions, and careless promises. They want you to respond before you have time to think. A Sigma male recognizes this pattern, so he refuses to let someone else set the pace of his mind. His pause is not hesitation, it is discipline. He listens carefully, thinks carefully, and speaks carefully. While everyone else is reacting, he is observing. He would rather take an extra moment and make the right decision than satisfy someone else's demand for speed. This calmness can be unsettling. People expect panic. They expect excuses, defensiveness, or a desperate attempt to please. Instead, they get a man who lowers his voice, shortens his sentences, and becomes more deliberate with every word. The harder someone pushes, the steadier he becomes. What makes this powerful is that slowing down protects him from costly mistakes. Angry words cannot be unsaid. Rash decisions cannot always be undone. A Sigma male understands that a few seconds of patience can save months of regret. He also knows that not every problem deserves immediate access to his emotions. Some situations become clearer if you stop, breathe, and let the noise settle. In a world addicted to instant reactions, his patience feels unusual. Number 11. They refuse to collect emotional debts. Most people keep an invisible record of every disappointment they have ever experienced. They remember who forgot their birthday, who didn't return a favor, who spoke behind their back, and who let them down years ago. Even when life moves on, those old memories continue to take up space in their minds. A Sigma male chooses a different path. He refuses to become a collector of emotional debts. This doesn't mean he has a short memory or ignores betrayal. He remembers the lesson, but he lets go of the burden. There is a big difference between learning from an experience and carrying it around for the rest of your life. Many people believe holding on to resentment somehow protects them. In reality, it often does the opposite. The more time you spend replaying old hurts, the more control those people still have over your thoughts. They may have left your life years ago, yet they continue living rent-free in your mind. A Sigma male isn't willing to pay that price. Instead of keeping score, he pays attention to patterns. If someone lies once and shows genuine change, he can respect that. But if dishonesty, disrespect, or manipulation become a habit, he doesn't waste time demanding repayment or waiting for an apology. He simply changes their level of access to his life. That is what makes his approach so powerful. He doesn't chase revenge because revenge keeps the connection alive. He doesn't dream about getting even because that still gives the past too much importance. His greatest form of closure is moving forward without needing anything from the person who wronged him. People often expect anger. They expect bitterness. They expect long speeches about betrayal. Instead, they find someone who has quietly closed the chapter and started writing a new one. Number 12. They never announce they don't care. One of the greatest ironies in life is that the people who constantly say, "I don't care," are often the ones who care the most. They post messages hoping someone notices. They make dramatic exits so everyone feels their absence. They tell the world they're done, yet secretly keep checking to see who reacted. A Sigma male does none of that. When he reaches the point where he genuinely couldn't care less, there is no performance attached to it. He doesn't feel the need to make a final speech, post a mysterious quote online, or tell everyone that he's moving on. He simply moves on. That's because real indifference doesn't seek an audience. He understands that announcing your lack of interest is still a way of asking people to pay attention. If your goal is to prove you don't care, you're still allowing the situation to occupy your thoughts. A Sigma male finds that unnecessary. His actions speak so clearly that words become irrelevant. This is why people are often caught completely off guard. They assume everything is normal because there were no dramatic warning signs. Then one day they realize he has stopped calling, stopped showing up, stopped investing his time, and stopped making room for people who never valued his presence. By then, his decision has already been made. What's remarkable is that he doesn't leave with bitterness. He doesn't spend months trying to make others feel guilty. He doesn't look back hoping someone finally appreciates him. His attention shifts toward building a better life, and that's where it stays. There is a quiet confidence in that kind of behavior. It comes from knowing that your energy is limited, and every minute spent trying to prove a point is a minute taken away from your own growth. A Sigma male knows that life is too short to keep explaining why he's leaving, too valuable to waste on empty drama, and too important to pause for people who only notice his worth after he's gone. Conclusion. At the end of the day, a Sigma male's greatest strength isn't that he doesn't care about anything. It's that he's learned to care about the right things. He doesn't waste his energy chasing approval, correcting every misunderstanding, winning pointless arguments, or trying to control people who refuse to change. He understands that attention is one of the most valuable things a person owns, and he spends it wisely. That's what truly sets him apart. Real indifference isn't loud. It doesn't need dramatic speeches, emotional outbursts, or public declarations. It shows itself in quiet decisions, firm boundaries, and the confidence to walk away from situations that no longer deserve a place in your life. The strongest people aren't the ones who react to everything. They're the ones who know exactly what deserves a reaction and what deserves nothing at all. If these traits resonated with you, don't just admire them. Apply them. Start protecting your peace. Choose your battles carefully, and stop giving your time and energy to people and situations that only drain you. Your life changes the moment you become more selective about where your attention goes. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these signs do you think is the most powerful? And have you ever experienced a moment where choosing silence spoke louder than words? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone else who needs to hear it. If you enjoyed this video and want more deep insights into the Sigma mindset, psychology, self-mastery, and quiet strength, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next video. If you found value here, give this video a like and share it with someone who needs this message today. Thanks for watching, and remember, the greatest power isn't found in controlling other people. It's found in mastering yourself. We'll see you in the next video.